Hello and good evening, and welcome back to a new episode, a new season of A for Abled. I'm your host, Kyle Eric, and it's been a lengthy hiatus since our last recording. It's been a minute since our last recording, and thanks to life basically bringing me back here. It was like, I have to do these again. I missed it. I missed the conversations. I missed the learning. I absolutely enjoyed everyone that has been on the platform up to now. But now we're starting a brand new season for 2025. And let me just tell you something. I've been doing podcasts. Like, I call myself an underground host on like other platforms that I've been on because never really been that big. Never really cared about it. My whole thing is just to have fun and to learn from some great people. And one of those great people is here today. Now, him and we go back a few years. Originally, I had thought about. I was looking for an editing job, and I came across this Facebook post. And next thing you know, him and I got into a meeting. We ended up talking, and I wound up being one of the co-hosts of his show, of his network, entitled Who They Want Entertainment LLC. This man has become a really good friend of mine, a colleague, a brother in our creative endeavors, and we just had a lot of fun. But don't get me wrong, it's also a lot of work doing these shows. It's one thing, and you can say, oh yeah, you're doing it from home, or you're doing it in like a small space. You don't have a big whatever. You don't have a big budget, whatever. Anybody can do this, yes, but it takes work. It takes work, dedication, and also have fun. You can't just stay on the grind all the time. But point is, when I met this man originally, I was looking for a job. Now, him and I are friends, colleagues, all that great stuff. His name is Mr. Steadman. He goes by the name of DJ Steady. Are you ready? Everybody give it up. How you doing, my brother?
Hey man, now I thought I was the king of intros. That right there was an incredible intro. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really? I thought that was a bit wordy.
Sometimes you need a little word. Like you said, you took that hiatus. You took them to where you've been and where you are now.
Ah, yeah. Man, I know, I appreciate it, man. It's been a minute. Like, I've been working with other people on other podcasts. I've been, you and I both have been working hard with some great people. And now it's time, now it's time to go back to where I started. You know what I'm saying? So, um, for those of us, for those who do not know, especially if they're newcomers, just give them a little synopsis of who you are. Like, if they don't already know Mr. Steadman, aka DJ Steady, are you ready? How would you describe yourself?
Man, I would describe myself as this most charismatic guy you would ever meet. I I persevere through my smiles. I'm born in Quincy, Florida. That's like right out of the capital of Tallahassee. It's like 15 minutes outside of the capital. I'm
Mm-hmm.
born to, a single mom, Priscilla Sapp. She passed, 10 years ago, God rest her soul. And I had a dad, dad that was responsible for creating me, Julius Mitchell. Gonna give him a shout out. You know what I'm saying? Because without him, I would not have been who I am today. You
Mm-hmm.
dig? Just born with spina bifida, personal disability, but I'm not defined by my disability.
Word. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, and I think when you and I first met, neither one of us knew that the other had a disability. We
Correct.
just, that wasn't even a thought until it got brought up in conversation, right? But up until then, we just wanted to create. That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted to do. Right.
Ironic, right, that you do say that because, prior to linking up with you, I had already done podcasting, for like a year prior. So
Right.
I was going into the year two, and like you said, it was based on me just, using the algorithm, putting something out there. Really was like the intention was, let me grab an editor, let me grab another co-host. That was my momentum at that time. But then I kind of, saw that you got a knack for the podcast hosting, and you can bring a different flavor to the show. So yeah, like I think it was like one random interview with our sister, the Duchess,
Yep.
and you just talked about, your ailment. And I'm like, well, Cal just boldly said it. Like he just said it like on a live. Just
Oh
talk.
yeah. Because I don't generally like I don't generally announce that I have that I have something. Most people that know me, they already know I have something because I have a limp, very noticeable limp, right? So it's really easy to it's really easy to tell. Like, yeah, he's got something, but I don't generally like announce it all over the internet because it doesn't really matter. But but in the case of like of you and I, you're the first person I ever met with spina bifida, right?
Right.
So what exactly does that mean?
Okay, spina bifida in a shortened version is a neurological ailment in which the spine doesn't fully develop. So what that means is you have to go through those series of surgeries, and we're dealing with the spine, so it's a delicate surgery as well as
Mm.
the series surgery to kind of give you some corrections. Yes, I'm blessed to be able to walk. Just as you talk about with your limp issues, I have more of a swinging gait with my walk. So it's kind of like
Mhm.
up here go me for comedy purposes. It's like watching a penguin come down and just, do the little sway waddle. That's me.
Bro, what I know you and I we've known each other for a while now. We have yet to meet in real life, right?
Right.
But if you were to see me walking, you're describing my walk.
Penguin gang, we here.
You're describing my walk. I got a waddle, and I didn't notice I had this waddle until I looked at myself in the mirror one day. I was like, I was running towards something, right? And I saw a mirror, and I was like, that's what I that's what my walk is like. Wow.
Shocking, isn't it, when you see yourself?
Yeah, I really didn't notice it until I think I was like preteen or teenager. I didn't notice it. I was running towards a mirror and I just saw myself, and I'm like, that's what I look like to
Right.
other people, you know? So, what was it like for you growing up in Quincy, Florida?
Uh, well, what was it like? It was cool. I could, what I'm saying. Mom, she did mom always held like these superstar, like supervisor positions of work. So she would always leave my older brother in charge. And then later became the younger sister. So I grew up with siblings. But I'm a grandma's kid. Anybody that knows Steadman. I'm a grandma's baby. You know what I'm saying? I would tell anybody when storms used to come. They'd be like, "Where you gonna go when the hurricane or tornadoes come?" I'm like, "Leave me at my grandma's house. I feel safe and secure around grandma." You know,
Mhm.
so it was just like adapting. You learn your strengths and your weaknesses where I'm from. Like you got people that see it and think it's weird and it's disgusting and ugh. And then you got people that go, no, let me educate you a little further. Let me kind of give you a little guidance, and you go from that in the bubble, out the bubble experience.
Mm. And when did you know, like, okay, like I didn't really know. I knew what my disability was as far as like cerebral palsy, right? But I didn't know that there were different types at the time, right?
Right.
I had no idea. I just knew that what I had was called cerebral palsy. When was your difference explained to you, or research it yourself, or what did like was it what was your reaction um when learning about what exactly this meant for you?
I would say it had to be around the first grade. And that's when I remember having one of those series surgeries moments where
Mm.
you go when you have the surgery and they have to take these bones. I think that's when they did a fusion surgery where they had to take a bone from your hip and they fuse it to to your foot, which I will later explain in this interview about, having the hardware in my feet. Like that's where it first originally started from. So it was that because as you're getting older, you notice you can't do everything that the class of quote unquote normal kids would do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't play basketball because of the walk and the braces, and it just you had kind of difficulty coordinating, I would say. It was kind of that. So it'd probably be like during my years of being in elementary, you come to identify it with, the bullying, being teased, being clowned about,
Mm-hmm.
and you go home with a face full of tears, and your mother has to explain to you, you have spina bifida, you know, this is what it is, this is what the doctors say, and then this is what God has to say. So you go through, the spiritual aspect, the human aspect, and then the physical understanding of it yourself. So for me, it was challenging, but I adapted.
Hmm. And how did you like? How did you adapt to that? Like you talked about how coming home with a face full of tears after getting bullied. How did you combat that?
My resilience, my love for music. Music was my thing. Music was my escape from all that. You
Mm.
know, they can say what they want, they can do all this, but then I put on my favorite Lil Wayne song. This was during the Cash Money Hot Boys days.
Right,
Uh,
right.
I take that back. I was a huge Destiny's Child fan.
Mm.
It was the Writings on the Wall album and the Survivor album. Like, I would go to school with a CD player and some headphones, and I would just block it out. Like I would just sit there and be like, "Okay, you didn't talk, you didn't have your last laugh." And then I started learning how to write rhymes. Like I learned how to, pick it up and. So if they would say something to tease me, I would kind of respond back rhythmatically, and then they'd be like, "No, you just got this by that," and then I kind of like that. So I say music. It was my love for music bought me kind of that anti-bullying kind of way to say, okay, that's cool and all, but you didn't know that this cripple, can do this.
So you ended up becoming like your weapon with your quick wits,
Absolutely.
right? You're like your weapon to combat that was your quick wits and your love for music.
Yeah.
So you would just like snap at them with a quick like little freestyle about whatever. Like, did you ever like snap at somebody for like what they were wearing? Like they're coming at you with like, oh, he's crippled, he walks weird, and it's like, oh dude, what are you wearing again? Are those bootleg shoes? What's going on?
Right. You look at those things, you pick on those things, and you utilize that. Like at that time, somebody might be a little more chunkier than you. So you kind of incorporate that. Like you would pick up, like for whatever flaw you was going to pick at, for me, I would pick a flaw on you and utilize it against you.
Mm. And you and the funny thing is you say music was your escape, but you are a DJ, right?
Yes, that's how it built. That's how it built. It was I'm like, I don't know what the word insert specific word, but like I can hear a song and I would just automatically be like, oh, I know the next song that should play after this, and then I know the next song that should play with that, and I just be, you be locked in a room and you're building playlists. And my sister talked about this the other night. Yo, it's crazy how this is going to come together.
Yep.
It was like during those eras of LimeWire, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
you would spend all day downloading until you basically gave the computer a virus. And you'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't care. I want to make this CD.
Did people hit you up for music, like for mixes?
Man, now that fast forward a little bit, that became like high school. Me in 10th, 11th grade is because I won my very first laptop from an after school program, right?
Nice.
So my uncle would give me some CDs here and there. He'd come by the house and give you like 5 or 10 CDs. And that's back when Windows Media was the thing, and it had
Yep.
that thing called Rip a CD where it can
Yep.
copy the CD onto the computer.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I would go and buy like some blank CDs, and I I had this thing of colonizing. My little OCD for music be like, ooh, I need this song, this song, this song. And then I again, my brain goes, I want my music to separate me from everybody else. Mine has more of a sequence than just, oh, it needs to be on the mix CD because it's a hot song. Like, no,
Right.
it's a hot song, but it can be on another mix that caters to that same audience for what that CD presents.
Hmm. And you were Florida boy, so there was a lot of good stuff coming out of Florida.
Right, Rick Ross, Trick Daddy, of
Yeah.
course. Salute to the OG Uncle Luke. Don't want to leave him out for this Florida music, but I'm on
T-Pain.
that underground. That was Plies and Iceberg Billion. You know what I'm saying? DJ Chipman. Yeah. We had a lot, because Miami, because our biggest music was Miami based music. So for Florida, everything that was hitting the scene from Florida was coming out of Miami. But then me being a northern North Florida as opposed to South Florida,
Yep.
me and my friends, my cousins, we were the on the scene guys. We were the ones that would, get in the studio and, rip over our favorite artists' beats. Or we had an engineer who would just put together some dope beats at that time. And we just
Mm-hmm.
get in and just drop our own mixtapes.
Mm. And it kind of makes me, it kind of makes me wish we knew each other then, because I always was trying to like over here, like if I saw that somebody had the hot mixtape, I'm like, because I preferred mixtapes over albums a lot of the times. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely was because you learn, for me and you, once you learn the difference between, albums is kind of what business people want you to do.
Yep.
Mixtape is what the artist wants to do.
Hmm. Hmm. So let's talk about your family life. So you were primarily raised by your mom and
Correct.
your grandmother,
Absolutely.
right?
And dad wasn't present in my life. Like dad became like a fairy tale story.
Oh.
I've only heard about him in some sort of heartbreaking story, like of who he was. And you just be like, okay, well, I know, again, being kids, you go, well, I know I don't want to be that when I grow up. But I had 5 uncles who instilled different versions of manhood in me, because again, these are 5 guys who, from my understanding, didn't have their dad kind of present in their lives. So they
Mm-hmm.
was learning fatherhood through the joys of raising a nephews and nieces, to where they was like, okay, we kind of got it. But yeah, it was dope. Shout out to all my peoples, man.
And it was like it. I would imagine for I would imagine for like for your mom. What do you remember any specific times where she had to like say, like if somebody were to look at you weird or whatever, where she had to come out and say, look, that's my son, like that's my son, he's different, leave him alone, that's just who he is.
Yeah,
You
absolutely. And this happened again going backwards to the elementary phase. This was the story about me being in 4th grade, and we was coming from special area this one particular day, and I had 2 fellow classmates who were good friends of mine to this day that were behind me. As we were leaving, there was another teacher leading her class to the specific area, and she looks at me and she says, "What the hell you think you're doing? You need to quit playing and walk straight."
What?
4th grade. Happens. Just no, she just verbally says this, like, no kidding.
So she
Look
thought
at
you were faking it?
right. She just says it. And you know how they say your face hits the floor instantly,
Yeah.
because you're like, I can't believe someone said that, let alone an adult saying this to a child.
Oh my God.
And then my 2 friends look back and he's like, yo, I can't. No, lady. They trying to clear it up. Like, lady, this is who he is. Like, he walks like this type of deal. And so, them upset too, because I'm upset. We rushed back because we was kind of a little bit further back from the class. Like, we were still in the line with the class, but it was because of my speed of walking, they would stay behind and make sure I still made it back safely and securely. That's how it worked. So we get back to the class and we're like, hey, yo, Miss Francis, my fourth grade teacher, we like, hey, yo, this has happened. Like literally this. And she's like, I'm gonna take care of it. I hear it. Calm down. I'm gonna take care of it. And it's already pretty much close to the end of the day. So you already know I'm finna get ready to go home. I'm like, you saying you gonna take care of it wasn't doing nothing for me. Like, that wasn't no affirmative action. So
Man.
I go home and I rush home and I'm crying. You know what I'm saying? You hold all your tears and all your emotions till you get home. And you go, and mama's like, what's wrong, baby? Mama, you will not believe this happened. I got witnesses. This happened. This lady says, again, what the hell you think you're doing? Quit playing and walk straight to me today. And she's like, well, what did your teacher do? She said she was going to take care. Oh, so she didn't take care of it? Don't worry about it. I'll be out there first thing in the morning, which she was. She drove me to school that morning, went straight to the principal's office, and had an immediate meeting that morning. We brought my two friends in. They attest to exactly how it happened, the way it happened. We brought my teacher in at the time. She was explaining how she was going to deal with it. She was hurt by it. She didn't, and then we banged the accuser, the lady who said what she said.
And this lady worked for the school?
Absolutely. She was a teacher. She was a teacher there. And heck, I mean, I'm in fourth grade. I think she was, if I'm not mistaken, like a first grade kindergarten teacher. Like she wasn't even like, yeah. So, you learn after mom's in there, furious, but very cordial. She wasn't belligerent. She wasn't crazy. She was defending me. She's like, this is like you say, this is my son. He's born with spina bifida. He was C-section. All this, like she giving you the whole rundown of everything. So, everything. And then a few minutes later, my grandma walks in, and you like, oh my God, because grandma was on her way to work. She knew about the story too. But my grandma kind of lived across town from us. So for grandma to just jump in on her way to work and was like, hold on. Yeah. And grandma went to crying. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is that moment. This is why, for me, I think it developed for me as a psychological, where like, I don't like people to kind of cry around me type thing. Like, I just don't like that crying thing around me, but yeah.
Man, oh man, I don't know. I cried all the time at that age,
Right.
all the time. Well, man, but wow, shoot, you and I have a similar story, but mine happened a little later. When I was a teenager, a woman followed me outside of a corner store because she thought I was making fun of people who had disabilities, until she realized I was the one with the disability. Right? Yeah. So in your case, it was a lack of ironically, it was a lack of education. The teacher was not educated on your particular, difference.
Absolutely not, bro.
And this was the 90s. You and I, you and I are 4 years apart. This was the 90s, right? So
Absolutely.
Yeah, the way things are now versus the way things are then, and especially the way they were way back before we were even born, are totally different than where we are now. Well, at least I'd like to think so. You know what I'm saying? At least I'd like to think so. Let me be honest, because nothing's perfect, but and now more people are more outspoken than ever before. Because when we were growing up, there was no, as far as I knew, there was no movements.
No, there was no cult followings. There was no programs. There wasn't nothing for us to be set aside, taught about indifference, but also while being taught about indifference, being educated on still being equal. You know what I'm saying? Instead of lesser, you're still as equal to that.
Yeah, like you're gonna have problems because of this, or you're not gonna be able to have jobs because of this or whatever. But like, okay, so instead of talking about what I can't do or what you think I can't do, what are your like what are your like what are your options? Like what is your like what do you think? Right? We're not and now we're seeing more people of like all kinds of
Oh,
differences or whatever. They're doing their thing. They are doing their absolute. They are doing their thing. They're lawyers, doctors, They're in movies, TV, all of that. We have all those. They have clothing lines, everything, right?
and it's a joy. It brings so much joy because like you said, me and you are from that era when that wasn't given to us. You know what I'm saying?
No, that wasn't
We wasn't
expected
we wasn't
from
there
us.
was no boycotts for this.
No,
The closest thing we had was March of Dimes at that era. You get a
and
picture, you get a plaque, and you get a little quick little donation of something, and that was it. Done.
I think today there's still like a lack of I still think that there are people out there with a lack of understanding, and those who and also those who try to advocate but maybe do a little too much. you know
Absolutely. Because again, this is like the media's, all the media outlets, and technology, so forth and so forth. So yeah, a lot of it isn't constructed on the genuine aspect of doing it for the generosity. It's
hmm
done because it's a publicity stunt. It looks good on camera. It looks good.
the optics look good, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the appeal. They want to sell it. Oh, he looks so helpless taking out his trash. Let me take a picture of me taking his trash bag from him and putting it in the trash can. And you're
Oh my
like,
god, let's put him in the news because he can play basketball in a wheelchair.
ooh, right.
Like, come on, he's a person. He likes basketball just like you. What? He, she, they, whatever. They like the same stuff you do. But all right, so your mom had to come to your defense because an ignorant teacher thought you were trying to just being funny.
Right.
And what was the drive home that day like? Like what was how did things change after that, or did you?
Yes. Yes. No, she apologized. Like I remember for like well, she was suspended, right? She was
Mm,
immediately suspended for that.
mm,
The principal apologized and she kind of put forth that effort during that time. She kind of made sure that it was that bullying, which she did originally had like a zero tolerance for bullying anyway.
mm,
But when it
mm,
came to us of the blue sticker community, she made sure that it was like really like unacceptable. Like that's not a thing no more. So
mm.
and then, the lady would apologize, she would apologize, and like you said, but that ride home, you you feel how that I feel like I'm the man type feel
Yeah.
like my mama just came and went to bat for me, what I'm saying? Grandma just came and did her thing. And you're thankful for parents that care, not just because you're their child, but you're their child dealing with a situation that they probably don't even understand. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
They it became that moment of humility. You saw the humanity, and like my mama loves me. Like it's not just,
Of
oh,
course, they're her baby.
one of them idiot things of, oh, you only love me because I got a check. No, my mama loved me.
Mm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I got parents that never made me feel like anything less than a person, but the world was a different story, and I listened to the world more than I listened to myself. But you know, now even as a 30-some-year-old man, it still gets to me sometimes, but I've
Indeed.
grown from it. I can tell you have too. Hmm. So, you mentioned being you mentioned two things before we started. You mentioned um losing your mother and also being a grandma's boy.
Hmm.
If you don't mind me asking, like, so losing your mother, when the like, do you remember when you like how did that happen? And do you remember what, like hearing about it, what was that like for you?
Tuesday, June 14th, 2014. I remember it started off as just a regular. What started off as just a regular day. You get up, you take your shower, you get dressed. At the time, I wasn't living with my family immediately at that time, but I
Mhm.
was in the area of they call, I can come. So okay, it was just like one of the moments I remember getting on social media that day, and I'm scrolling down my timeline, and all I keep seeing is sorry for your loss. If you need me, I'm there for you. I'm sorry for your loss. And I'm sitting there like, what everybody talking about? You kind of see and don't see it because you're like, sorry for your loss. Like, what did I lose? What's what? And then I get this, I remember clear as day. Like, I remember one of my cousins, shout out my cousin Kay. He was like, "Bro, I need you to call my big mama." He's like, "Call my big mama," which is his grandmother, who's my grandma's sister, right next door. He's like,
Yep.
"Call her immediately. Call her right now." Okay, cool. So you kind of get a little attitude because you're like, "Well, what y'all need me to call for? What am I calling for?" And then I'm like, "Hey, auntie." She's like, "Baby, where you at?" I'm like, "Auntie, I'm good. What's going on?" Statement, where you at? I'm like, I'm okay. Like, what's what? You like, I ain't, because at the time it was kind of like a little me finding myself moments of I ain't really want to say where I was until I had a reason to say where I was.
Right, right.
But it was one of the moments. She's like, "Well, baby, you don't know." I said, "No, what? What am I supposed to know?" She said, "Baby, your mama gone. Still passed." What?
Ooh.
You could drop a pin how silent I went. Like it was what? That's all I said was what? Drop the phone, drop down. That's all I heard. And she's like, "Well, give me your address. Your cousin finna come pick you up." And I do that. And it was, luckily at the time, my friends I was with was like, "Nah, we'll go ahead and take you there. Don't worry about them coming. Like this, we're gonna take you on out there." And yo, I remember like getting to my neighborhood and I can hear my grandma wailing from down the road.
Hmm.
Down the road in my neighborhood. And I'm like, because again, this was me. This is my mentality. I'm like, man, if this was some crazy way for my family just to say they wanted to see me, like, oh, your mama dead, and then you rush over there, and then they just wanted to see you, like, nah, nah. But my one thing my family doesn't joke about is death in the family. That's not
Mhm.
something you take lightly, right? So as we get there, the closer I get to the house, it sinks in, like it sinks. Like
Mm.
this is for real. Like there's 100 car parade of people at my grandmother's house, and I have to get out the car, walk through the yard, go up the stairs, and I see the strongest men, which are my uncles in the family, immediately at the door, boo hoo pouring down, crying, and I'm like, no way. Like I've never seen these guys in my life, and at the time I'm in my early 20s. And I'm like, I've never seen these guys a day in my life shed a tear till now.
Hmm.
And then I go and I find my grandma and I just kneel at her lap and she just holds me and she's crying. And she's like, she says some things and she's like, why you didn't take me and all this? And it was just this, you like, so then it really kind of rings, that bell kind of rings like, all right, because I'm looking like, all right, mama, you can come out now. Like, I hate, Ashton Kutcher. Come
Hmm.
on, mama, come on out. And she doesn't come out. Like, yo, it was, because I've never even publicly even talked about this. Like, I've never, had that comfortability to be open about it. And it's been 10, going on 11 years,
Mm.
so she passes on that Tuesday. We had her wake on that Friday, and we had to bury her like immediately that Saturday. So this is in the course of 1 week. So in 1 week, I still never at the time kind of gathered my thoughts of my mom has died. I'm just like, mentally, you tune it out. Here's me, honestly, bro. I tuned it out to where like my mom was just on a vacation getting her life together. And she's gonna come back and she's gonna get me and we're gonna live that life we always used to joke about. Every birthday she called me and she'd be like, yeah, because I ain't going nowhere. We're gonna sit on this rocking chair till we old and gray together, and that's gonna be us sipping tea on the front porch. You know?
Mhm.
Wow, man, this has got me kind of emotional here.
Do
Cause
you?
no, no, we're good. We're good. Like, bro, I'm just saying to that happening and to fast forward 10, 11 years later, and I don't even still feel like I've gotten the grievance out. Like I've never went through the stages of grief. I just feel
Really?
like for me, I stuffed all my emotions in that jar and was like, I gotta be strong for grandma. I gotta be strong for my uncles. I gotta be strong for my little sister. I gotta be strong for my brother.
Hmm. I I think to me it takes strength to be vulnerable, right? It takes a lot of strength to let yourself grieve. Like I've thankfully, like both my parents are still here, but I've seen at least one of my parents after they've lost their parent, right? And it was not easy for them because life just started stacking stuff on top of the fact that they had lost, like I had lost a grandmother, right?
Hmm.
And and it it really made me it really made me think because it really made me think. Now everybody grieves in their own way in their own time, right? But I remember you and I, talking about it like I remember like during some interviews that we would do, you would bring up the fact that your mother's no longer here,
Hmm.
but you would like dedicate a song to her, or or talk about her briefly, or talk about your relationship with your grandmother, you know. And I think it just, I think it takes strength to let those memories, to keep those memories close to your heart, you know, because even though I don't know your mother, I'm glad that I'm glad that you're able to talk about it because you're here, bro. You
You
know,
know?
you and
You
I got a chance to meet because of her.
Absolutely, because that's who she was. She was that one that can, step in that room and own the room, and you know, and for Higami kind of bring things to contrast was like she was such a strong woman. Like my mom would fight my battles. She would be the one standing in the doctor's office explaining all my ailments, how to treat them, what need to be done, and then breaking them down to me so I can understand what's about to take place to me. It
Mhm.
wasn't like just do this to my child. Like she wasn't just sending me to the slaughter of doctors and letting them just poke and parade. No, it was like we thoroughly understand that you need this. It's for your betterment. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, you know.
Well, how would you like? How does one treat someone with spina bifida? Like, what did they have to do medically for you?
With me, it's always about your joints. It's about, make sure you include physical therapy, have a balanced diet, you know what I'm saying? Keep your weight kind of under control. It's about understanding we can do certain surgeries that could give you, that stability of walking, the walk that you're trying to achieve. But here is 200 things of red flags of if we do it, these are the risks. We have to tell you the risk, the probabilities. So I've
Hmm.
never went as far to actually have any spinal surgeries. It's always been, foot, ankle, for left and right leg. it's always been that, kind of X-ray of the knees, make sure there's nothing need to be done to the knees, and always being fitted for custom orthotics. So,
Mm. Hmm. And you talked a little bit about like what they had to do with your legs, as far as like, did they have to give you like metal plates or anything, or anything like that for your walk, or
No, I mean, other than like I said, the hardware, the pins, the screws that
the
were,
pin?
in there to hold the joints of my feet and ankle together. No, I've always wore like AFO braces. You get those dope braces, those plaster heavy braces, strap
Yeah.
the brokers on, get to some good hard bottom shoes. And as I got older, I would use, if it's a place I have to use like Disney World or a place with a lot of ground, then I'm taking a wheelchair. Like I'm not gonna walk
Right.
all over God's creation for nobody. But other than that, as I got older and you age and your joints aren't as strong as they once was, then I go, which I've remember since a kid, I always use like a walker or something like that, a
Mhm.
rollator, back then. So now, as you get older, you have to use these devices again because now your joints, are doing what they do. Doctors would tell you, like, hey, the older you get, the joints are going to get a lot of wear and tear, especially again, they're going to be with weight, up and down. It's you're 30 something being diagnosed with arthritis in the knees, and you be like, you don't supposed to get arthritis at 30. That's for the old people. But no, you can happen to people that have joint stiffness and ailments. Yes.
Relatable. Uh, so, um, so okay, so two things. So so recently you you had to make a decision about about one of your legs, like, you know why exactly, like what brought you that to that decision, and how is it now after, um it's it hasn't been that long since you had to go through that,
Correct.
right? So, um but I remember distinctly when you called me. We had a video chat. When you called me and you said, "Bro, they took my leg." You
Wow.
you
You
you,
remember? I had to be super doped up on beds because I called a lot of people too.
you called me, like, because like, we know that you were in and out the hospital, right?
Right.
So people were checking in, you know, you and me, we homies. So I would check. Yeah, so either you would call me or I would call you and see how you were doing. And then one day you call me. I just happened to be in my room and you called me and you was like, "Bro, they took my leg." And I'm like, what you mean? He's like, I had to make that decision, man. It was just the hardware, the wear and tear of the hardware, as you put it, it was too much. So so really, from your point of view, what was that like, as far as you making that decision? And do you I think you made the right decision personally, but I don't live in your head. So how did you feel about that?
Okay. Right from the beginning. Okay. So before leading up to that, I think for like, I say probably about early for about my late 20s. Like there was a period for like 3, 4 years where I was having these situations happen where I would get these breakdowns on the bottom of my foot.
Mm-hmm.
Then you think it's because of I like to wear like thick tube socks and stuff, and then you
Mm-hmm.
wear the brace, and then you stuff them inside of a shoe. So you would think that, oh, the moisture, probably all this stuff. So try to wrap it up. It was just like I would get these ulcers for a period of time, and by me having due to spina bifida, I have a lack of sensation in the bottom of my feet, so I
Mm-hmm.
could never feel pretty much pain, nothing like that. Like it would be minimal sensation of me not feeling pretty much close to nothing.
Mm.
So it just became a period of, these breakdowns would come. I would go do these wound care treatments. They put me in what was called a total contact cast, which helps heals wound faster, which is what I was new. You were like, oh, foot breakdown. Let me go to wound care. Let them put me in a brace for about a month. Put me in that big cast for a month, and then boom,
Mhm.
it heals. Okay, prior to all that, again, recently moving from Florida, where I've been all my life, decided to relocate to Houston, Texas, with a very beautiful best friend. But I'm just saying, at this time, it was one of those moments where the wound was already there, it was already persistent. So I
Mhm.
figured, you move to Texas. I heard they got good medical stuff. I can probably get some treatment here that, I wasn't receiving in Florida that can help do it. Would go to the same wound care treatment. So to kind of wrap it up, there was this period around early last year. Around this time, I was diagnosed with osteomyelitis, which is an infection to the bone.
Mm.
Yeah. Doctors tell you, oh, and then you find out through the tests and CT scans and X-rays and a couple of hospital stays. You stay about 2 weeks in the hospital. They tell you, hey, Mr. Mitchell, apparently you have some hardware in your feet that's been there. How long? They're gonna be, hey doc, that done been for the past like 20 plus years. That's been inserted there. Yeah, well, that's what's giving you the osteomyelitis. We've been giving you antibiotics. I'm talking about. I'm getting the heavy stuff in antibiotics through the vein, straight there. To fast forward from January to May of 2024, I'm back in the hospital, and this time they telling me, it's this osteomyelitis has gotten to the point where it was antibiotic resistant.
Mm.
And there's this foul odor coming from my foot. It's swollen. Bro, people don't even know to be public here on A for Able. Like, for that, from January to May, I can say I kind of knew I was getting sick. Like, I knew I was kind of feeling out of body. Like, I was
Mm.
feeling sluggish. I was feeling irritable. For me to explain it in a nutshell, it's kind of like I know what it felt like to be in a microwave because of the fever. Like, it's like
Mm.
being warm, and no matter what, you can't cool off. You're dehydrated. So the infection was doing what the infection was doing,
Mm.
and I was on IV antibiotics. I was doing my dosages, and it just wasn't killing it. So finally, they gave me this first optic surgery like a week before the amputation to try to remove the screws. And I'm thinking, because they never told me like right immediately after the surgery that the screws were gone. I'm just waking up and my foot's wrapped up, and I'm kicking back like, okay, they took the screws. I'm gonna have to probably be in a wheelchair for a while, and then you'll figure out what's next. No, they came in like a day later and go, we was unable to remove the screws because once we got in there to even see it, we saw that infection did a lot of damage to you, my boy. You're like, you're laying in this bed and they telling you, all I hear was infection, really bad, and the screws, there was nothing they can do. So they just tell me on a Friday, you have the weekend. We can get you in as early as Monday for the surgery, the amputation. You have the weekend to think about it. I said, what's to think about? My right hand, I said these words, strategically said it. My right hand offend me, cut it off. I said, as long as I get one of the prosthetic legs or some assistance afterwards, take it.
Yeah,
That's
I remember us joking. Like I remember us joking about that because so your favorite movie,
tell the people. Tell
your
the people.
your favorite movie is Forrest Gump, right?
Right.
We're gonna go back to that in a second, but your favorite movie is Forrest Gump. So, and because I knew this, my instinct was to call you Lieutenant Steady, right?
Right.
My instinct was to call you. I was like, "All right, Lieutenant Dan. Okay, so what we gonna do? They better hook you up with a leg, right?" And we just started laughing because we knew that was the next step. Like yeah, you're like, yeah, you're gonna have to, you had to make this sacrifice, but the next step was you were gonna get a new leg,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Um, as of right now, where are you? Like, have you gotten it yet, or are you still waiting?
They called me yesterday because I was go pick. I was supposed to pick it up this week. But me being who I am, I was like, I need a couple extra days. They go me, I gotta process it. They go me, I gotta process it, get
Understandable.
prepared for it. And
Understandable.
I was like, I need some walking shoes. Like, you got to get yourself geared up. You're gonna go get a leg and walk with the leg. You can't just go in there like, just put the leg on. I'll get the shoes. No, they want to see you stand up. Make sure it's comfortable. Make sure it
Right.
fits. Thank God for insurance, because boy, I tell you the truth, if brother had to pay a leg out of pocket, how bad do I need a leg? Go give me the power chair. Yeah, no. But I was adamant about not being wheelchair confined.
Hmm.
I didn't, and that's no offense to anybody that has wheelchair built. Like, I'm not trying to make a mockery, but for me, I'm just saying I didn't want to be wheelchair confined for the rest of my life. I didn't want to have
Hmm.
to deal with skin breakdowns, ulcers, having someone come lift you up out of bed, transfer you here. Why? Like, even though it'd be the life, because I mean, if you know me, quick disclaimer: I have a thing for female nurses, but that's neither here nor there. But but anyway, nah. So I'm in the process now of getting ready to receive my prosthetic leg and start doing some physical therapy, getting back in the ring, getting back to go for that fight, bro. Ain't no stopping me now.
I know that's right. I know that's right. I mean, like just like Forrest, nothing stopped him.
Nothing. You know what I'm saying? You go, and you say that, and to bring it full circle, that's exactly what I use. Like, that movie has gotten me. People be like, "How does you remain smiling even when the world is on fire?" Shout out to people in Los Angeles. But
Right.
even as the world is on fire, you still remain smiling. You still gonna sit there with a happy face, and you because you got to play the hand that's dealt. I was telling my grandma, I was like, we had a conversation earlier this week, and I was like, if I had to do it all over again, to answer your question, if I had to do it
Yeah.
all over again, I would do it. I would make the same decision. It's either be cut down in the prime of my early 30s, or you can go ahead and plan my funeral by the end of that year. I'd rather go ahead and you take this leg. Steady gotta live. I got an empire to run.
You got an empire to run. I love it. No, I love it because while all this is happening, let me see if I can get this list. So you moved on your own, right? You
Right,
moved on, you moved on your own. The surgery is done. So now you're about to get your new leg,
right,
right? You're still living you're still living in Texas. Have been, you didn't decide to go back home,
right.
right? And you are now, as we speak, in the process of bringing your podcast back.
That's
So,
You hit him all, my boy. You know
so
me. That's how you know we talk, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you
word.
know me and my bro talk.
Exactly. So exactly, bro. So I'm not trying to get anything wrong, and if I do, please correct me.
Mhm.
Um, but it seems like to me like life had you down for no, like it had you down. You took some licks, right? But you got back up. You got back up, and to this day, yeah, like life is full of ups and downs, right? But you have a good support system.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's friends and family. Shout out to grandma. Shout out to your family. Shout out to the extended family. You
Yeah.
know,
Right. Without even trying to because you create stereotypes when you have to single handedly pick person, 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 person. Shout out to my village as a whole.
the
You know who
village.
you
Yep.
are. Like, everybody, even when it comes to my podcast village, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for the prayers, the talks of good faith, for coming to see me, for video chatting with me. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you can offer to help, rather physically or emotionally, thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Ah, man, and that is like, dude, I'm glad I'm happy to be one of those people. You know, I'm really, happy to be like one of those people in your circle, even if like that's not how it started originally. But here we are 4 years later. You know,
And
so
it's beautiful. It's That's why the rebirth of what I'm doing with Who They Want podcast now and going, I want to call it Who They Want Reloaded. I got
yeah,
300. Me and you talk on that techie side of the Who They Want. You're always like, well,
I
bro,
love the tech stuff.
you know what I'm saying? You always, bro, you need to micro this and, do your shorts. And like, you always going to give me something encouragement to do to keep me busy, even while I was going through my healing process. You're like, bro, you should reshare your links. Go look, you know what I'm saying? Keep the Who They Want brand alive while you're temporarily down. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I
like
hear
like you can't deny what's happening to you. You can't, we can't act like nothing is happening, because these were huge changes. You know what I'm saying? These were huge changes, especially after moving and everything. That was, just huge changes. But at the same time, I didn't want you to give up on your dream, man. You know?
man. And I love it, like, because I called it my healing process from May of 2024 to now. I quoted "The Eye of the Tiger" based off the Survivor song used
Yep.
in Rocky 4, right?
Yep.
Wait, Rocky 3. Rocky
Yep.
3 when he fought Mr. T and he took the L at the beginning of the movie. Like, he got knocked down. And remember that scene when they was on the beach and Apollo was trying to get him to shaping up to get back in the ring because he had just lost Mickey, and Mickey messed his head up with the whole thing of telling him like, oh, all those fights you thought there was, I paid them people to kind of, fight. So you really wasn't, you was the champion, but you was a paid champion. Paid for
Mm.
it. But anyway, it was like, for me, my journey was like eye of the tiger. Because it was like, right now, like you said, I done took that leg and I done sat here like he took when he told Apollo on the beach. Well, no, he told his wife Adrian, I don't want it no more. The podcast, this, I don't want it no more.
Mm.
But then you realize as time progressed, it wants you, like it needs you. Like, you can sit there and parade and pout and you know what I'm saying? But what's for you, it's for you. And I feel like podcast is for me. It was a way to express myself. It was giving me therapy. It was, building network relationships, brotherhood, sisterhood, like all those things. We was connecting with
Mm-hmm.
everybody. And it was formulating something incredible. So now I'm like, now I done started hitting the gym, metaphorically, like I done started hitting the gym. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a whole new thing. Now I'm purpose driven.
Yep.
Before I was Who They Want driven, which was just solely on I'm just trying to put Who They Want out there. Now Who
Mm-hmm.
They Want out there. Now it's time to make sure it becomes that household name. I want Who They Want to be plastered out there when you pull up in Hollywood or you pull up in Atlanta, wherever in the world you pull up, there's a billboard with Who They Want on it.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? I want
I
that.
feel you.
I want it to be that young man, born and took his disability and made it his ability and changed the world by not being confined to what doctors was going to say, not being confined to what my mother just was going to say, not being confined to what my teachers was just going to say. Nah, Who They Want is, I hear what you're saying, but let me show you how I'm going to still get it done.
Tell him, man. Yeah, man. That man, I gotta applaud you for that one, bro.
I,
Like, it's it's the truth. There's gonna be times where we're gonna question things that we want to do, or that we feel like we're meant to do, or whatever. And some things change, and it's understandable. But you know, you like I don't know. I know I met you because of podcasting, you
Right.
know, and I see the passion that you still have for it. Same thing, same thing with me. Mine is, I would say mine is really being reignited, to be honest. Um, because I've been behind the scenes, but honestly, bro, I salute you, my brother, because you went through a lot, but you did not let it define you. You did not let it bring you down and keep you down. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
So I got two things before we wrap this up.
Okay.
Most important question: if young Steadman were to time travel back and ask you, how did we turn out? What would you say?
Man, if it was to come back and look at me, man, we did everything they say we couldn't do. We became who they want. I'm gonna forever say that. That is my motto. That is my alma mater. Who they want. We did that. Because why? Who? You. They, whatever they said, wanted. You did what you wanted with whatever they said. Who they want.
There you go. There you go. All right. Let the people know where they can contact you. You got a whole network going on. You got, like if they ever want to be a guest on the podcast or they just want to watch, what we've done up to now, let them know where they can find you.
Absolutely. Okay. For bookings, you can book with me. You can email me at who they want. That's WHODEYWANT podcast at gmail.com if you would like to book. If you want to access me through social media, I'm available on Facebook at DJ Steady, Mr. Who They Want Sap. Instagram, it would be DJ Steady of WDW podcast show is that. That's my Instagram tag. And if you want to hit my main line, you have to get to know me first to get the main line number. Not going public with that, right?
There you
But
go. There you go.
absolutely. But of course, make sure you follow the Who They Want Entertainment page, official Who They Want Entertainment page on YouTube, and then as well as back to social media on Facebook. There's a Who They Want, just Who They Want Entertainment page. I'm building my audience. This is why I say I'm purposefully driven. So you might look at it and kind of be like, oh no, don't let the numbers fool you. Trust me, there's always going to be something there for somebody. Absolutely.
All right. And when does the relaunch happen?
Officially, Who They Want Reloaded. Okay, he's reloaded. Will be February 5th, 2025. I'm back with a special guest co-host, Miss New will be joining me as I tell my story for the Who They Want people out there. It's definitely gonna give y'all while I'm purposely driven. My theme of my return is finding elevation through procrastination.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting. Well, bro, I thank you, and once again, we salute you for for standing up when life had you down, and just keep persevering through the storm. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, my brother.
You just keep doing your thing, and like I said, I am so like I feel fortunate to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Because you, man, when I tell you you're such an incredible human being, humanitarian yourself, you're still like the top chief of editing. You know what I'm saying? You're a great editor. You love what you do for you are A for Able. You are your brand as well as on the brain. You know what I'm saying? When you bring out Tenchi and he get to talking about stuff I see as Dragon Ball Z Diamond getting ready to wrap up come
Yeah.
February. We need to have a link up and talk about
Oh,
that.
we do that. We definitely gonna have to do. We definitely gonna have to do that. But yeah, everyone out there, check out Who They Want Entertainment LLC on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, all of that good stuff. And we'll catch you on February 6th for the reload. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Thank you everybody for for coming out for this for this new episode, this new season of A for Abled. I'm going to do my best to get more episodes out for you. If you would like to be interviewed or anything of that nature, hit me up at Kyle Eric 33 34 on Instagram, or you can catch me on, I might put this on YouTube, I'm not sure right now, like as far as the YouTube channel. I'm gonna do a relaunch of that, and we will catch you on the next episode of A for Abled. Peace and love.